But more than that, you're also creating stress because your body is now having to suck oxygen through something that's obstructing the airway.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 2, 5.
It's like the art of war, which is strategy, is something like playing chess or playing basketball or anything else. If I'm gonna play chess, if I'm gonna play somebody, I'm a decent, halfway decent player, I have to know what every piece, the direction, the type of moves it can make. And I have to anticipate those moves ahead of time so I can do preemptive strikes or whatever, or, guard, block them. That's what a superior strategist does. Blocks the way, ruins relations, spoils plans. And so if I'm playing somebody in chess, I have to spoil their plans to get at my queen, right? And I have to know the moves of the bishops and the pawns and the king, what type of things they can do, and play them all out of my head like a computer, and then make my move. I can't do that if I don't understand the tactics. The tactics are what those pieces can do. Strategy is the way that I use those pieces, right? And you cannot separate those two anyway. If you tried, it's impossible, right? It's why most people just see it as a book of war, all right, armies fighting, killing, death. And so if that's all you see, then that's all you get out of the book, and it won't even be useful for you unless maybe you're a soldier or possibly a policeman. Even then, you have to convert it because the rules are different for war than for being a policeman, right? So this could be applied to studying on heavy ground plunder. If you got to go to the library, which most don't now, you got Google, you will stock up on supplies. That's what the rule is for heavy ground, which will mean in this case, bringing food or water or money to buy food and water or something to drink. But this also applies to going out of town or going anywhere far. But also it applies on a physical level. I mean, if you're studying, you're going to study for a test. Heavy ground is when you've read like most of the material, all the material, and so you want to, enter a level where you can't be stopped. That's what you do on heavy ground, where you penetrate so far that the opponent can't stop you, which in this case would mean you're going to get a better grade because you understand the material so well. So the first thing you got to do to be honest and about learning the art of war is accept the fact you got to learn all these rules. You got to memorize them, just like anything else. Most people don't want to do that, and you got to be able to convert them to whatever it is that you're using it for, right? For a relationship or a people, it's totally different. Those willing to be killed, those willing to die can be killed means it's different on the battlefield than it does in a relationship with somebody. That just means, well, you might have to cut that person off. So right? The art of war is about using strategy with tactics. You can't use strategy without tactics. You can't use tactics without strategy. It's impossible. They're connected, right? So you're using, whether you like it, whether you realize it, whether you accept it or not. I'm here to tell you that's what it is. Now the thing is, people don't know strategy. They don't know what it is, and then most who read the art of war really often don't know how to apply it to any and everything. And I believe that's one of the problems. On top of the fact that you got hundreds of rules to remember, and then you got to remember how to convert those rules to whatever it is you're applying it to, and then mastery comes with knowing all of them at the same time. So that's strategy. Then so you also have to have your tactics mastered. Strategy is to supplement extraordinary tactics. That means you are excellent at your tactics, and you have to be. You can't make an excellent strategy if you're not excellent at your tactics, right? Example, chess, basketball, all of these things, anything, any skill, that's the case. So, like right now I see people who are talking against, institutions involved in what's going on with the COVID-19 and so forth. And a lot of them do not really have the credibility, and so it makes them a little bit more questionable, even though they might sound really good. But say like Dr. Rashid Buttar, he has all of these years and degrees and experience of working with the military, and said to be like the 5th best doctor in the country. So and he gives a lot of facts and details, and he pulls up a lot of documents, government documents, and a lot of history on certain people, and he really backs up his information on top of being credible. So that's extraordinary tactics.
You get into what they call a sympathetomimetic drive. You're driving it further and faster. This is the flight-fight response. This is like having your car in park and stepping on the accelerator. That's what.
Right, and now he's applied strategy to it to try to make a difference which is, like the Art of War says, the brave can fight, the intelligent can communicate, and the careful can guard, right? Also, war is based on awareness, right? And so in order to be aware, you got to be objective, right? In order to be objective, you have to be able to stand back and let go of your ego and whatever opinions and stuff you have to actually be consider that there could be some other truths. And reading and doing research and asking for information and talking to people, those type of things help you to realize that coming out of your own shell and your own box in order to be objective. Objectivity is one of the most important and the greatest things as far as using the art of war that you need in order to see unorthodox methods or understanding emptiness and fullness. This could destroy your ego, but it's about being realistic and practical. But to art of war, which is strategy, today's example, Dr. Rashid Buttar.
He hasn't worn a mask until recently, and then when you saw him wearing the mask, they showed like a bunch of still slides, and he was like this, fidgeting, doing everything else. My point is, again, ask the question.
And the reason is because, related to what's going on today, so much, different sources of information, and but he's a soldier, so to speak, or general, as far as I'm concerned, in a way. But he's like a general without, officers and colonels and sergeants and soldiers, in a way. He's fighting this battle in a way by himself and is exposing himself. But the thing I want to point out is how, because he's mastered these tactics, he has the ability to take on, those who are knowledgeable and can easily shut people down by way of just jargon, using terms, expression, and knowledge that the average person doesn't know about. And so even a person with a lot of power, a lot of money, and power in another area, it would be hard to take on this particular area without a lot of knowledge, which is basically tactics about it. So he's got what the Art of War says, strategy is to supplement extraordinary tactics. That means you're really good at your tactics, right? And so he's really good at his tactics. I mean, he's got 30 years, 20 years of this and 20 years of that, got degrees, and he worked with the military on, hands-on, the real deal, and is said to be the 5th best doctor in the country. And
why? The issue at hand is separating us. They have always separated us. We have always been separated based upon our differences of our ethnicity, our creed, our nationality, our religions, our political agendas, our political belief systems, our color of our skin. They have divided us. It's time to forget about that division and understand what brings us together. If you can answer that question, why, for any of these things that are happening, and you can justify it, then fine, then go along with it. But the question, if it's not answerable, if something inside you says something doesn't smell right, if your intuition, your gut feeling, your sixth sense, this is all God speaking to you. Do you understand that? Your sixth sense, that gut feeling, the gestalt that we have, that is the creator.
So there you go. That's those are his tactics, his knowledge of that area. So, Art of War says the brave can fight, the careful can guard, and the intelligent can communicate. Obviously he's a fighter. So usually fighters and tend not to be, real careful, and those who are real careful tend not to be, fighters. So, but communicators in between, I think, can bridge those. And so, if you're a one-man band, one person running some operation, you really have to be all three. Communication can't be left out. But back to Dr. Buttar, this situation right now involves a lot of powerful institutions, really, that he's going against. And I noticed that he's been kind of rallying up some folks. But what's interesting is his level. He's like Jedi, and even though one Jedi can still take on so many, different people at the same time, even a good one, because, they have this power.
In medicine and trauma, we're taught three things. When in doubt, go back to your ABCs. Everything's about ABCs. ABC stands for airway, breathing, circulation. Now notice airway and breathing, all to do with our ability to respire, our ability to oxygenate. When you're wearing a mask, you're reducing your ability to oxygenate. You're also, because you're throwing your body into that chronic stress, because you're sucking oxygen, you have to suck oxygen through this mask, you're increasing your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. Cortisol going up suppresses your immune system.